out.
Imagine a society so obsessed with spectacle, so desensitized to suffering, that its public entertainment pushed the very boundaries of human cruelty. What if I told you that even in ancient Rome, a civilization renowned for its brutal games, there were performances so extreme, so utterly inhumane, that they shocked even the most hardened spectators? For centuries, the Roman arenas were the heart of public life, places where emperors sought to cement their power and the populace found exhilarating diversion. From gladiatorial duels to chariot races, these spectacles were a cornerstone of Roman culture. But beneath the thunderous applause and the dust of the arena floor lay a darker truth. Today we're diving into the most brutal and inhumane arena performances in ancient Rome, when things went too far. We'll explore the shocking events that crossed the line, revealing the depths of Roman obsession and the forgotten horrors that unfolded for the masses. Prepare to witness a side of Rome you rarely hear about. To understand just how far things went, we first need to grasp the context. The Romans viewed death in the arena very differently from us. It was often seen as a legitimate form of execution, a sacrifice or a test of virtue. Gladiators, though enslaved, could achieve immense fame and even freedom through their prowess. The munera, or gladiatorial games, were initially part of funeral rites, evolving into massive public spectacles sponsored by the elite to curry favor. But these weren't just about skilled combat, they were about power, control, and the insatiable appetite of the Roman crowd. So, what truly led to these performances spiraling into unprecedented levels of depravity? It wasn't a sudden shift, but a gradual escalation driven by several factors. Emperors and wealthy patrons constantly needed to outdo each other, offering ever more spectacular and bloodthirsty shows. The Roman populace, conditioned to violence, grew increasingly demanding, requiring new and more exotic forms of entertainment to satisfy their hunger for novelty. This created a vicious cycle, pushing organizers to innovate in cruelty, leading to events that were not just violent, but profoundly degrading and inhumane. One of the most horrific spectacles, often relegated to the morning shows before the main gladiatorial events, was the Damnatio ad Bestias, condemnation to the beasts. This wasn't combat, it was execution. Criminals, prisoners of war, and often early Christians were stripped naked and thrown into the arena to be torn apart by lions, bears, panthers, or wild boars. These weren't trained animals in a staged fight. They were often starved and enraged, unleashed upon helpless victims. Historians like Martial describe scenes where men were simply thrown to the beasts, without any chance of defense, a gruesome form of public lynching designed to terrify and entertain. The sheer scale of these executions was staggering. Accounts describe hundreds of individuals being slaughtered in a single day. The Roman historian Pliny the Elder wrote of a single event in which 20,000 animals were killed, and while many were hunted in the Venationes, a significant portion were used in these brutal condemnations. The sheer variety of exotic animals brought from across the empire, tigers from the east, hippos from the Nile, and even crocodiles, was a testament to the lengths emperors would go to for spectacle and the cruelty they would inflict. It wasn't about a fair fight, it was about the absolute annihilation of human life for the amusement of the masses. Imagine the psychological impact on a society that regularly witnessed such systematic brutality. Then there were the Naumachiae, or staged naval battles. These colossal events required flooding vast arenas or specially constructed lakes, sometimes involving thousands of combatants and dozens of ships. While undeniably impressive feats of engineering, their purpose was not merely spectacle, it was mass slaughter on an unprecedented scale. Emperor Claudius, for instance, staged a Naumachia on the Fucine Lake, involving 19,000 condemned men, many of whom were forced to fight to the death. They were given weapons and ordered to "Hail, Emperor, those who are about to die salute you," before engaging in a bloody no-quarter battle. The Roman historian Tacitus wrote of this event, noting the immense cheers from the crowd as the carnage unfolded. It was a macabre imitation of war, where the line between theatrical performance and genuine bloodshed was completely erased. These weren't soldiers fighting for a cause. They were often prisoners and criminals, forced into a game where survival was almost impossible. The water ran red with blood, and the shores were littered with bodies. For the emperors, a Naumachia was the ultimate flex of power, proving their ability to command resources and human lives on a scale that dwarfed all other spectacles. It served as a stark reminder of the emperor's absolute power over life and death, turning human beings into disposable pawns in a horrific game of war reenactment. While the most brutal excesses eventually faded with the decline of the Western Roman Empire and the rise of Christianity, the legacy of these extreme arena performances remains a chilling chapter in human history. The Damnatio ad Bestias and the Naumachiae weren't just isolated incidents. They were the culmination of a society's relentless demand for spectacle, pushing the boundaries of what was acceptable. They reveal a deeper sickness within the Roman social fabric, where the powerful sought to outdo each other in shows of brutality, and the public became desensitized to suffering on a grand scale. The moral descent of Roman entertainment serves as a profound historical lesson. The desire for ever greater spectacle led to an unending arms race of cruelty, where human lives were the primary currency. The citizens, conditioned to this violence from a young age, came to accept these horrors as normal. This normalized brutality, historians argue, helped to desensitize the population and made them complicit in the state's most inhumane acts. The physical ruins of the arenas, standing silently against time, bear witness to a human capacity for cruelty that is both fascinating and deeply disturbing. They serve as a permanent scar on the landscape, a monument not just to architectural genius, but to the dark abyss into which a society can fall when it prioritizes entertainment over humanity. The roar of the crowd might be long gone, but the echoes of their dark desires still resonate, offering a grim lesson from the annals of ancient Rome.